After 3 years of marriage, my husband, Marcus, cheated on me with Luna, the new secretary at his workplace. After discovering she was pregnant, the secretary secretly sought me out, claiming noble intentions of wanting to give her child a proper home. Hearing this, I smiled faintly. Broaden your perspective. I can give you a home too. 01 Though I'm the other woman, my child is innocent. He can't grow up without a father. I just want to give my child a home. The woman, dressed in a sophisticated beige business suit, was weeping, tears streaming down her face. I smiled, sweeping my gaze over her before letting my eyes rest on her slightly protruding belly, and said seriously, broaden your perspective. I can give you a home too. Huh? Startled by my reply, Luna's expression froze for a moment, tears clinging to her chin, threatening to fall from her fair face. I smiled, offering her a tissue, and explained, what I mean is, if Ms. Miller is willing, I can form a family with you. Luna frowned deeply, staring at me as if I were insane. Miss Miller, please stop joking. I'm not leaving Mr. Taylor. She wouldn't even call me Mrs. Taylor? I picked up the coffee from the table and took an elegant sip. Don't be nervous. We're the same kind of people. Yes, the same kind of people. I'm also a gold-digging opportunist. Fortunately, Marcus wasn't married when I met him, so I became Mrs. Adams, legitimately. 02 The moment freshman year began, I noticed Marcus. He was a renowned star student in the computer department, not just handsome but also brilliant. Many professors said he would go far in the future. Of course, that wasn't enough. In real society, talent is rarely a necessity. Marcus was lucky. He was born into a middle-class family, not super rich, but at least comfortably well off. So, I was willing to take a gamble. After all, he was the most suitable person I could attach myself to. One accidental day, Marcus, who was out with friends, ran into a junior student being harassed by thugs, and a heroic rescue ensued. Everything fell perfectly into place. After graduation, I stayed by Marcus's side, accompanying him from the start of his venture until he firmly established himself in Bayport, becoming an industry leader. I won the gamble, but I also lost. After we married, Marcus had more and more client dinners, came home later and later, and had a string of affairs. Honestly, as long as he gave me enough respect and a comfortable life, as he used to, I could pretend to know nothing and continue being a dutiful Mrs. Taylor. But he was too ungrateful. He kept getting involved in scandals, making me the target of other socialites' mockery, and at the same time, he grew increasingly foolish. He actually planned to listen to his parents and divorce me, despising me for being a barren hen. It's laughable. He's barely home a few times a month, yet he wants a child? Even if I had one, would he dare acknowledge it? Don't say I didn't try. After years of constant client dinners, Marcus is no longer the handsome, refined Bayport University heartthrob he once was. He's become a paunchy, greasy middle-aged man. If I had to lie there motionless, I'd have to silently chant rich, legal 1,000 times. Initiate intimacy? Don't make me laugh. 03 My thoughts returned, and I looked at the young and beautiful Luna before me, my smile deepening. How much does Marcus give you a month? I can double it. Luna's eyes flickered. She looked up at me and said, you want to buy me off with money? You could say that. Luna scoffed, thrusting out her belly in a show of defiance. Mrs. Taylor, I think you've misunderstood. My feelings for Mr. Taylor are genuine. You can't buy me off with money, so you might as well give up that idea. I knew Luna's ambition didn't stop there. After all, this was Marcus's first child that I was aware of. If I were in her shoes, I'd also want to play for high stakes. Looking at Luna's ambitious eyes, my resolve grew stronger. Luna, I know what you're thinking, that you can use this child to push me out and become Mrs. Taylor? Marcus and I have been married for 3 years, and he's had at least 8 or 10 women by his side. You're not the prettiest, nor the most capable. Your only asset is this child. But I can tell you clearly, becoming Mrs. Taylor because of this child is absolutely out of the question. Hearing my words, a flicker of annoyance crossed Luna's face, then she quickly calmed down and said, how can you know it's impossible if you don't try? Do you think you're important to Mr. Taylor? When I was with him, he complained about you being an old hag quite a bit. After she finished, it was as if something else occurred to her, and she continued gleefully, you don't know, do you? Mr. Taylor told me you're a barren hen, and he'll divorce you sooner or later. Hearing this, I couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter. Ha 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 ha, Ms. Miller, I truly enjoy talking to you young people. It's absolutely delightful. After my laugh, I extended my meticulously manicured hand, picked up a tissue from the table, and delicately wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes. The massive diamond ring on my index finger gleamed with captivating brilliance under the coffee shop's lights. How about we make a bet? Tomorrow is Marcus and my third wedding anniversary. If you can use your pregnancy to make Marcus abandon me and come to you, then I'll immediately hand over my position as Mrs. Taylor to you. How about it? Want to try? As I spoke, I deliberately waved my hand in front of Luna. Sure enough, the envy in her eyes was like a searing flame, and it filled me with a strange warmth. Fine, you keep your word. Luna could no longer maintain her composure and agreed. 04 that night, after showering, I changed into my pajamas as usual and curled up on the balcony sofa with a book. Marcus liked intelligent women, especially beautiful ones. This was the image I had Alwa YS presented to him. Later, however, to infiltrate the socialite circles and help his workplace secure connections and collaborations, I found myself attending more and more parties and dealing with countless trivial matters. Gradually, I stopped focusing on this. I had originally thought that as long as I proved my capability to Marcus, the position of Mrs. Taylor would never fall to anyone else. But I had forgotten that men always want to have their cake and eat it too. So, I had a realization: if men can't be relied upon, why not become the capital myself? Thinking of this, the smile on my face grew even softer. Wife. Startled by the voice, I turned my head to look. It was Marcus coming home. Seeing me, his eyes lit up, and he said with a nostalgic expression, "It's been a long time since I've seen you so quietly reading a book." I closed my book and replied with a soft smile, "It's all for you. I always want to help you take good care of the home, so I have less time for myself." Hearing this, Marcus looked deeply moved. He took a few steps forward, intending to pull me into his embrace. Seeing this, I quickly stood up, elegantly intercepted his outstretched hand, gently pushed Marcus's bloated frame, and softly urged him, "Look at you, so tired from work. Go take a shower quickly. There's some warm herbal chicken broth in the kitchen downstairs, I'll bring it up for you. You're so good to me, wife. Marcus didn't notice my resistance. He instinctively held my fair hand, rubbed it a few times, then chuckled and turned to shower. Once he closed the door, I quickly pulled a tissue from the table and roughly wiped the hand Marcus had just touched. Thinking of his bulky figure and greasy face, a wave of nausea washed over me. I truly couldn't stand it anymore. After wiping my hand, I took a deep breath, put on a gentle smile again, and went downstairs to get the soup for Marcus. I heard herbal chicken broth shouldn't be eaten with celery. Tomorrow, I'll just eat at celery all day. 05 By the time Marcus finished showering, I had already adjusted the room's lighting and was elegantly sitting at my vanity, applying lotion. Seeing me busy, Marcus didn't disturb me. He consciously picked up the chicken soup and slowly drank it. Tomorrow is our third wedding anniversary. Are you still going to the office? I subtly asked, all while carefully observing Marcus's expression in the mirror. Marcus frowned, as if he had completely forgotten about it. It's our third anniversary already? Can't we just celebrate in the evening? I still have to go to the office during the day. I smiled and continued, celebrating in the evening is fine, but Mrs. Vance and the others might not be available then. Mrs. Vance? Which Vance? What would they be doing at our anniversary? Marcus was starting to get annoyed. It's the wife of Victor, CEO of Soar Realty. Last time at Ms. Miller's banquet, I chatted with her a bit, and we left a good impression on each other. Hearing his name, a glint flashed in Marcus's eyes, and he eagerly asked, "Are you very close with Victor's wife?" Seeing the fish take the bait, my tense body immediately relaxed. I stood up, sat beside Marcus, and explained, "Very close, not really, but we have a bit of a connection. I heard Mrs. Vance and Mr. Vance have a very good relationship, and she especially enjoys associating with people whose families are harmonious. So, I thought I could use this opportunity to host an afternoon tea and invite Mrs. Vance. It's a good chance to expand our network, isn't it?" I had known for a while that Marcus's workplace recently took on a major case and urgently needed to connect with SOAR Group. So, I secretly orchestrated my meeting with Mrs. Vance, hoping to help Marcus through social networking with the socialites. It's just a shame Marcus was too ungrateful. Sure enough, after hearing my words, Marcus shed his previous impatience, laughed delightedly several times, and promised, "I won't anywhere tomorrow. I'll stay home and spend time with you. You absolutely must organize this banquet well. Don't worry. 05 The next day, the banquet proceeded as planned. Marcus woke up early to prepare, overseeing the setup in the downstairs garden, and even had a dress sent over to match his suit, playing the part of a devoted husband perfectly. I was quite pleased with this. The more importance Marcus placed on this banquet, the smoother my plan would unfold. During the banquet, Marcus was even more attentive. Not only did he give me a 10-carat blue diamond necklace, but he also made a heartfelt confession to me in front of everyone, choking up several times at the depth of his emotion. Mrs. Vance was deeply moved by this scene. She pulled Mr. Vance forward to proactively speak with Marcus. Marcus seized the opportunity to successfully connect with Mr. Vance, and both were very pleased with each other. And I, tracing the dazzling sapphire necklace at my neck, was also very satisfied. During a break in the banquet, Marcus held my hand and said excitedly, "Wife, I really owe you so much this time. The only thing I've never regretted in my life is marrying you. You're truly my lucky star. I gently squeezed Marcus's sweaty hand, my smile radiant. Me too. Mrs. Vance hadn't quite heard what was said. Seeing us holding hands and looking at each other, she quipped, "Your relationship truly is wonderful, a perfect couple. Victor and I have been married for over 10 years, and he's never been this romantic with me. I'm truly envious. A perfect couple?" I quickly lowered my head and took a sip of champagne, hiding the shock and mockery in my eyes. When did Mrs. Vance go blind? Marcus, however, was quite pleased with the comment. His smile grew even more enthusiastic, showing no trace of his string of affairs. Just then, Marcus's cell phone rang. Amidst the noisy banquet hall, the ringtone was barely audible. Marcus, busy talking with Mr. Vance, naturally didn't notice. At that moment, his mind was entirely consumed by the workplace case. He had no attention to spare. To prevent Luna from getting upset, I had no choice but to be a kind soul. "Honey, your phone is ringing. During a lull in the conversation, I smiled and reminded Marcus, then smoothly picked up the thread of the discussion, allowing him a chance to answer the call. At my reminder, Marcus gave Mr. Vance an apologetic smile, took out his cell phone, saw the name on the screen, frowned, and hung up without hesitation. Catching a glimpse of this out of the corner of my eye, I found it even funnier, though I feigned a puzzled expression. "What's wrong, honey? Whose call was it?" Mr. Vance and Mrs. Vance, hearing this, also looked at Marcus curiously. "Oh, it's Alex's call. It's nothing important, I told him to just text me. Okay. He didn't even answer and already knew it wasn't important? What shoddy acting." Nevertheless, I was pleased. I clinked glasses with Mrs. Vance and returned to our previous conversation. Soon, Marcus's cell phone rang again, and the atmosphere in the room instantly stiffened. "Honey, why don't you go answer the phone? What if it's something urgent from the workplace?" I opportunely offered him an out. Mr. Vance and Mrs. Vance exchanged glances, their smiles considerably subdued, and chimed in, "Yes, Mr. Taylor, perhaps we should talk later?" With that said, Marcus, however unwilling, could only apologize and leave to answer the call. Yet, as he left, I still caught a glimpse of the impatience hidden in his eyes. After he left, Mrs. Vance gently shook her head, cast a regretful glance at me, and politely excused herself. Less than 10 minutes later, Marcus rushed back to the venue, his face showing an irritation and fury he couldn't conceal. It seems Ms. Miller's attempt was unsuccessful. I put down my champagne, took a few quick steps to Marcus, and asked with feigned concern, "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Seeing me, Marcus frowned. "Ned." Instead of answering my question, he searched for Mr. Vance's figure and asked, "Where's Mr. Vance? Is he not with you?" My expression shifted. I perfectly displayed a mix of annoyance and helplessness. "After you left, it seems Mr. Vance's workplace also had something urgent, so he and Mrs. Vance excused themselves." If only you had. Marcus understood my unspoken words. His face darkened, looking as though it could drip water. Knowing, if Luna had appeared before him at that moment, he would have likely smashed his cell phone in her face long ago. After nearly 13 years together, I understood this man perfectly. Selfish, cold-hearted, and ruthless, he could casually betray 13 years of sentiment, let alone an insignificant mistress. What did it matter if she had a child? In's mind, the workplace's interests were more important than anything else. After an unknown amount of time, Marcus finally calmed down. He instructed me to handle the banquet matters, then left with a grim expression, a stark contrast to his earlier image of a devoted husband. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I asked a server for a drink and raised it in a distant toast to his furious retreating back. Happy 3rd anniversary. 06 The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop as promised. "Miss, here's your coffee. Chris, in his uniform, gently placed the coffee on the table, a slight blush on his face. I rested my chin on one hand, my gaze sweeping over his broad shoulders and the slender waist highlighted by his apron, and softly replied, "Thank you." Feeling my gaze, Chris's blush deepened. He met my eyes for a moment before quickly looking away and departing, appearing slightly flustered. I couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Youth truly is wonderful. Bang! Luna stormed in, throwing her bag heavily onto the seat. Her face bore heavy dark circles, clearly indicating a restless night. You won. What do you want? Let me tell you up front, I'm not leaving Marcus. Seeing that Riss had returned to the kitchen, I finally managed to shift my gaze to Luna's face and said softly, "When did I ever say I wanted you to leave Marcus?" Luna looked at me suspiciously, "What exactly do you mean? Stop being so cryptic." My gaze swept over Luna's increasingly prominent belly and her fatigued complexion. I was too lazy to continue playing games with her, so I spoke directly, "Since you could become Marcus's secretary, you're certainly no fool. You and I both know what kind of person Marcus is, fickle, cold, and ruthless. I've been married to him for 3 years, and I can't count how many young, beautiful girls like you I've seen. Don't talk to me about invincible true love. If it were the early days, he might have had some charm, but now haha. I just smiled, silent, and took a sip of my coffee. Luna's expression turned ugly, as if I had hit a raw nerve. She opened her mouth to retort. I rolled my eyes and continued, "If you want money, I can give it to you. If you want to keep this child, I have no objections." Wal does want a child, he wants a legitimate, marital heir, not a bastard secretly conceived by a mistress behind his back. Remember, the world of the wealthy is never short of children. Young woman, this isn't a fairy tale, it's time for you to wake up. After speaking, I calmly observed Luna's expression. Seeing her face pale and her breathing ragged, my heart skipped a beat. She shouldn't get too worked up, she still has a child in there, after all. Thinking of this, I quickly signaled Chris to bring her a glass of warm water. Seeing her drink it, I reined in my arrogance a little. Mainly, it had been a long time since I'd encountered such an entertaining scene, and I was still a bit excited. Ahem, calm down. I cleared my throat and got straight to the point. To be frank, I absolutely cannot stand that idiot Marcus anymore. So, I want to ask you for a favor. If you succeed, I'll give you 10 million and 2% of the workplace's shares. This is something you couldn't get even if you gave birth to octuplets. Hearing my words, Luna's pale face quickly flushed with excitement. Her large eyes gleamed with surprise, and she was speechless for a long while. Oh, so this young woman has almond eyes? No wonder she can pull off the innocent, sweet girl act. Well, are you taking this deal or not? Luna licked her dry lips, then frantically picked up the warm water on the table and drank it all, only then managing to calm down somewhat. What do you want me to do? Let me be clear, even though I'm the other woman, I won't do anything illegal. I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing, clutching my stomach. Don't worry, I won't make you do anything illegal. If you accept these terms, I'll have someone secretly send you to Metropolis City. You just need to take good care of yourself, give birth safely, and appear at the appropriate time. I'll handle everything else. That's all? Of course. You have my word. 07 Good evening, Mrs. Taylor. Back home, Maria had already prepared dinner. Where's Marcus? Isn't he coming home? Maria's expression was a bit troubled as she replied, Mr. Taylor just called to say he won't be home tonight. Got it. I wasn't surprised by that answer at all. In the 3 years of our marriage, Marcus only pretended to be a good husband for the first year. After that, as his workplace thrived, he became increasingly fond of partying and womanizing outside the home, to the point where he couldn't even be bothered to make excuses anymore. But it didn't matter. Marcus being home would only worry me. Constantly putting on an act for a philandering pig was exhausting. As I was eating, my cell phone on the table suddenly rang. I picked it up and saw it was a call from my informant at Marcus's workplace. Thanks to him over the past few years, I'd gained a clear understanding of Marcus's disgusting behavior. Why the sudden call now? Could actually be working at the office. Hello, what's up? Mrs. Taylor, I just saw Mr. Taylor pull Chloe, the new assistant, into his office. A woman? Yes, but the assistant didn't seem very willing. Bang! I slammed the soup bowl heavily onto the table. Find a way to stop them. I'm coming now. Marcus, damn you. 08 After hanging up, I immediately told Maria to put the prepared tonic soup into a thermos, and I rushed to Marcus's workplace by car. Inside the partitioned car, I quietly opened the elegant thermos, took out the folic acid pills I always took from my bag, crushed them into fragments, and sprinkled them into the soup. Yes, folic acid. Although I didn't want to have children, to maintain my image, I had been regularly taking folic acid on my doctor's advice, staying in a ready for pregnancy state. What didn't know was that I had long ago secretly replaced the folic acid tablets with multivitamins. But just a month ago, I discovered my medication had been switched. The usually sour and bitter taste of vitamin B had turned sweet. After realizing something was wrong, I immediately and discreetly had the medicine tested. Sure enough, it had been replaced with a drug for treating schizophrenia, and long-term use would cause dizziness, hallucinations, frequent sleep, and could induce mania. Aside from Marcus, I couldn't think of anyone else who would dare, or be able, to do such a thing. I knew that given Marcus's current status, he would eventually grow dissatisfied with me. After all, I neither had a family background that could assist him nor had I borne him any children. If we're willing to discuss things openly and give me what I deserved in terms of assets, I wouldn't cling stubbornly to the position of Mrs. Taylor. But he insisted on playing dirty, wanting me to have a mental breakdown so he could use it as an excuse to kick me out empty-handed. It's hilarious. For all these years, I've diligently let him take advantage of me and provided him with emotional support. What's wrong with asking for some money? Is that too much? 09 Arriving at the workplace, I wore my usual perfect smile and walked briskly into the private elevator, heading to Marcus's office. In the elevator, I received a message from my informant, Mrs. Taylor. I just interrupted Mr. Taylor by using the excuse of delivering reports, but he was very angry, and I couldn't stay long. Understood. After replying, I secretly calculated the time in my mind, my brows furrowed. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I heard a woman's angry shouts coming from the office. It seemed she was genuinely unwilling. Animal, I sneered, quickening my pace while tightening the lid of the thermos. I shouldn't spill it when I make my grand entrance. What are you doing? Pushing the door open, I roared, my face grim. Marcus, who was holding Chloe's hand, spun around in shock at the sound, forgetting his grip. Chloe seized the opportunity to push him away, and Marcus, due to his weight, couldn't stop himself and stumbled clumsily to the floor. Once stood, still shaken, I wore a mocking smile and scrutinized the unfortunate young woman from head to toe. She looked even younger than Luna. Could she be an intern still in college? That disgusting pervert Marcus, his brain made of pure lust, truly sets new lows for shamelessness every single day. Well, good thing Big Sister is here to save you. I'll find an excuse to transfer some extra money to you later to calm your nerves. Big Sister will get revenge on that deadbeat for you. Why are you here? Marcus stood up, feigning indifference, and asked with a dark expression. Time to give him his medicine. I saw you've been working hard lately, so I specially made some soup for you to replenish your energy. I never expected to find this woman here seducing you. Humph. I didn't. It was Mr. Taylor who, hearing my distorted words, Chloe's face flushed. She angrily tried to explain, but I immediately cut her off. Mr. Taylor, what? Are you implying my husband harassed you? What a joke. I've seen too many girls like you who want to take shortcuts. Don't you just want money? Is 100,000 enough? 200,000? Take the money, pack your things, and leave tomorrow. Don't let me see you again. Be a good girl, go back to school and focus on your studies. Work is exhausting. After I finished speaking, Chloe's face was no longer red. She looked at me in surprise, hesitating to speak. Seeing this, my eyelid twitched. I quickly urged her to leave. All right, hurry up and go. Don't be an eyesore here. She's just a college student, her reactions are too obvious. Once she left, I cast a resentful gaze at Marcus. Before he could speak, I immediately said with a sob in my voice, Don't you want to explain what just happened? Marcus's expression faltered. He still had to consider our marriage, and said guiltily, and nothing happened. We were just discussing work and checking in with the new hire. Of course, I wasn't satisfied with that explanation. My face darkened. I placed the thermos on the coffee table, stood up, and pointed my finger directly at Marcus's face, my exquisitely manicured nail almost piercing his lifeless eyes. Do you think I'm easy to fool? Did you fall for her? You've been fooling around outside for years, but now you can't even control yourself at the workplace? Do you have any respect for me at all? Without waiting for his reaction, I grabbed the decorative toad figurine from the table and smashed it to the floor. With a crash, the decorative toad figurine shattered into pieces. Still not satisfied, I swept all the documents off the table, leaving a mess on the floor. Marcus finally reacted, quickly reaching out to stop me. I wasn't a pushover either. Seizing the chance, I slapped him hard a few times. Enough. Feeling the pain on his face, Marcus finally lost his temper. He roared and shoved me to the ground. Damn it, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels. Enough for what? Are you going to act like a coward now after what you did? I propped myself up with my hands, my hair disheveled, and glared at Marcus with bloodshot eyes. You dot. Marcus seemed startled by my appearance, but quickly remembered something and surprisingly ceased to be angry. He stepped forward and gently helped me up. All right. Since you don't like her, I'll fire her. Don't be angry anymore. I lowered my eyes, my hand trembling slightly on his arm, as if I was trying my best to steady my emotions. After what felt like an eternity, I said in a hoarse voice, I'm sorry, honey. I don't know what's wrong with me. My emotions have been all over the place lately. Out of my sight, a satisfied smile appeared on Marcus's face. It's okay. You're just tired. Go home and get some good rest. Sitting back on the sofa, I casually tucked my messy hair behind my ear, regaining my usual gentle demeanor. Honey, I brought you some herbal dessert soup. It's excellent for cooling down your system. Have a taste. Marcus was currently reveling in the success of his scheme, so he naturally wouldn't embarrass me over such a minor thing. He smiled, picked up the thermos, and drank the soup inside in one gulp. Honey, is it good? Delicious. It's sweet. If you like it, I'll ask Maria to make it for you every day. The weather's been hot lately, so a bowl when you get home is perfect for cooling down. Yuri's still the best to me, wife. I leaned back on the sofa, my smile gentle. After he finished drinking, I elegantly took the thermos and left, making a call to the HR department on the way. As for Chloe, the new assistant, remember to finalize her internship agreement tomorrow. 11 After that day, I had Maria prepare soup for Marcus in various ways almost every day. Hearty rib soup, herbal chicken soup, herbal dessert soup. During this time, I never interfered, only personally went to the kitchen to taste the soup once it was ready. Everyone thought I genuinely cared for Marcus, but only I knew that I had used every single pill Marcus had swapped on him without waste. Besides the daily soups, there was also milk before bed and lemon water for hangovers. Sometimes, I'd wonder, Marcus dared to drug me, yet he had absolutely no guard against me? Could it be that my acting skills were too superb these past years, making him truly believe I was just a pretty face with no brains? Underestimating a woman leads to big trouble. Over the next 6 months, I grew increasingly paranoid, often arguing loudly with Marcus over trivial matters, constantly breaking things, and even causing scenes at his workplace a few times, severely embarrassing Marcus. But this wasn't enough. Under my deliberate control, instances of losing control were still few. Even when I occasionally acted wildly, I was merely a pitiful woman heartbroken by her husband's infidelity. So, even though Marcus had already mentally decided I was insane, he didn't yet have sufficient reason to send me for a psychiatric evaluation. Thus, everyone's attention was on me, yet only I knew that Marcus's mental state was deteriorating. He often had nightmares at night, was listless during the day, and even experienced confusion and hallucinations a few times. However, because of my apparent madness, these issues were overlooked by Marcus. After all, losing control and experiencing confusion were not quite on the same level. And so, Marcus and I, each harboring our own sinister intentions, passed another 6 months peacefully. During this time, I repeatedly interfered with personnel changes at Marcus's workplace under the guise of my unstable mental state, while also having someone ensure Luna was resting well during her pregnancy. Simultaneously, I secretly placed my own people in Bayport's best psychiatric hospital. After all, the world is never short of accidents. In case Marcus outmaneuvered me, I always needed a backup plan. 12 As due date approached, my anticipation grew stronger. The opportunity soon arrived. Even though Marcus had missed the chance to forge a good relationship with Mr. Vance of Soar Realty due to Luna's call at our 3rd wedding anniversary, Mr. Vance ultimately didn't reject the collaboration proposal because the project's profits were indeed substantial. For this project to proceed smoothly, and to leave a good impression on Mr. Vance, Marcus had been much more restrained lately, sticking to a routine, workplace, client dinners, and almost always returning home every day. However, due to my erratic behavior over the past 6 months, Marcus had already dismissed me as crazy. He neither wanted nor dared to bother me, and a month ago, he moved into the home office under the pretext of focusing on work. For someone like Marcus, who had long indulged in sensual pleasures, this period was no different from severe asceticism. The night before the press conference where both workplaces formally announced their collaboration, I deliberately stopped his medication and had Maria stew a calming tonic to help Marcus sleep soundly, ensuring he was well rested and to accelerate his metabolism. After a restful night, Marcus appeared refreshed at the press conference. Facing his peers and the reporters below, he spoke eloquently, showing no signs of being a patient on long-term psychiatric medication. But the real show was yet to come. Immediately after the press conference, a news story completely rocked Bayport. Marcus forcibly assaulted a staff member at the gala dinner co-hosted by his workplace and SOAR Realty, and then publicly injured someone when he was resisted. In the morning, he was a promising industry leader. By afternoon, he was a scandalous lawbreaker. Such a drastic shift in status, I wondered if Marcus could accept it. Of course, Chris was someone I'd arranged for, a professional hired specifically from an exclusive club. Even among the reporters present, I had my own people. Otherwise, how could I have captured the Mo's spectacular shots? 13 As soon as the news broke, Marcus's parents immediately sought me out, wanting me to get Marcus out of trouble. Marcus is your husband. Now that something this big has happened, aren't you going to quickly find a way to get him out? My mother-in-law, looking plump and prosperous, stood with one hand on her hip, scolding me angrily. Marcus's parents had always been dissatisfied with me, and daughter-in-law from an ordinary family. Normally, they wouldn't even want to see me, yet now that Marcus was in trouble, they came straight to me first. As a full-time wife dependent on a wealthy husband, what could I do? I could only take them to the police department to understand the situation. Inside the police department, Marcus, unable to accept his ugly deeds being publicly exposed, was still violently shouting and screaming at the interrogating officers, completely uncooperative. Helpless, the officers could only temporarily detain Marcus. In the police department hallway, a disheveled Marcus met us. Son, are you all right, son? The moment Margaret saw Marcus, she excitedly wanted to rush forward but was quickly stopped by the alert officers. She could only cling to an officer's arm, crying and shouting, Mom, save me. I didn't do anything. I was framed. Marcus, upon seeing Margaret, instantly found his anchor. He flung away the officer's hand and cried out. The officer, nearly tripping from his action, reacted with rising anger and stepped forward to try and control Marcus. However, Marcus was already mentally unstable due to long-term medication, and with the day's events, his mind completely snapped. In a fit of rage, he actually attacked the officer. Stop it. What do you think you're doing? This is the police department. Are you trying to assault an officer? Nearby officers rushed over to restrain him, but how could a person in a mental breakdown be easily controlled? Marcus, leveraging his physical build, struggled wildly, attacking several officers in a row, until he finally calmed down after being hit with 2 stun guns. Watching the entire scene, I was terrified, my face pale, nearly collapsing to the ground. Of course, I also lacked the strength to stop Margaret, who rushed forward to protect her son. After all, I'm just a fragile woman. 14 After leaving the police department, I took Henry and Margaret back to Marcus's and my estate. The lawyer was already waiting at the estate. David, I asked, still feeling weak and leaning against the sofa, catching my breath, what can be done about my husband's situation? Henry and Margaret, at that moment, paid no mind to me, staring intently at the lawyer. David adjusted his glasses and replied coolly, the situation is not optimistic. Mr. Taylor is now involved in 2 serious felonies, attempted rape and aggravated assault. The evidence is substantial. However, if the victim is willing to settle out of court, there might still be a path forward. Hearing this, Margaret, whose eyes had been dim, immediately brightened and spoke excitedly, then let's settle out of court. No matter how much money they want, we're willing to pay. Unlike the excited Margaret, Henry, being a university professor, clearly understood the current situation better. He closed his eyes and said in a heavy tone, what if assaulting an officer is added to that? Assaulting an officer? David stood up abruptly, his voice rising. The joy had not yet faded from Margaret's face when it froze there, mixing with her cloudy eyes, making her a ridiculous sight. David quickly pressed, where did this assault happen? Under what circumstances? At the police department, Margaret stammered, feeling awkward. At her words, David took several deep breaths, barely managing to suppress the expletive about to escape his lips. Who did he hit? I don't. You don't know who? We don't know how many he hit. Listening from the side, still silently crying, I nearly burst out laughing. I lowered my head and pinched myself hard several times. David was utterly defeated. He said, frustrated, "I can't take this case. You should let Mr. Taylor serve his time." "David, I have a way." 15 Hearing me speak, Margaret clutched my hands like a drowning person grabbing a lifeline and pressed, "What's your way? Tell me quickly." I pulled one hand free, wiped away my tears, and sobbed as I looked at David. "I've heard that if a mentally ill person commits a crime, they're sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment, right? Are you suggesting?" Before I could explain, Margaret glared fiercely at me and interrupted, "No. Absolutely not. You want to send my son to a psychiatric hospital and then divorce him? I knew all along you were up to no good, don't even think about it." Facing accusations, I looked her directly in the eyes, my own eyes brimming with tears, and said, "I know you've never liked me, but Marcus is my husband too. I would never harm him. Marcus's mental state hasn't been good recently, you saw his behavior at the police department just now. I was just thinking, if Marcus could be diagnosed as mentally ill, even if he's sent to a psychiatric hospital, as long as we're willing to pay, he won't suffer. And we could still visit him. After a year or two, when things calm down, he could be discharged. But if he's truly sentenced, how could he endure life in prison?" After I finished speaking, I turned to David. "David, isn't that right?" Receiving my unspoken signal, David nodded, confirming my words. Seeing this, Margaret released my hands and began discussing with Henry. After a long pause, they finally spoke with difficulty, "Then let's do as you suggest." 16 Afterwards, thanks to my careful arrangements, Marcus was smoothly diagnosed with schizophrenia and sent to the psychiatric hospital in Bayport for treatment. After taking psychiatric medication for half a year, Marcus was already mentally unstable. Combined with going Fr. OM a CEO to a criminal in a single day, and then being sent to a psychiatric hospital by his own family, his psychological defenses were constantly eroded, and he truly began to develop mental issues. Whenever Margaret came to visit Marcus at the hospital, I would contact the people I had placed there in advance, deliberately provoking Marcus, which often caused him to suddenly fly into a rage in front of Henry and Margaret. A few times, he even physically attacked them. I knew Marcus hated them. After all, after I made the suggestion, I outwardly never interfered with the subsequent events. For parents who personally sent him to a psychiatric hospital, it would be strange if Marcus didn't hate them. I, on the other hand, was different. Ever since Marcus left, I was with Henry and Margaret every day. I let them scold and criticize me, silently enduring all of Margaret's sarcastic remarks, completely playing the part of a dutiful daughter-in-law. Of course, this was mainly because Henry and Margaret weren't those extremely difficult in-laws. I could tolerate their simple coldness and occasional sarcasm. Over time, faced with an increasingly erratic son and a dutiful daughter-in-law, the two elderly people naturally began to favor me. Furthermore, the following year I brought Luna and her child back to Bayport. Faced with their only grandson, the two elderly people doted on him immensely, pouring almost all their energy into him, and no longer wished to visit Marcus. However, the reputation of being an illegitimate child isn't good, so with Luna's consent, I formally adopted the child, becoming his legal mother. Luna also received her promised share, and everyone was content. And he, naturally, spent the rest of his life in the psychiatric hospital. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.